this is where maybe we go to what AI can do for us. We have talked about AI automating some of these tasks, like menial tasks like summarizing text or recording consultations.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, there is a very nice paper that came out recently on summarization where they are comparing so they're doing clinical text summarization and they are comparing large language models to human experts. And what they basically show, so we can link the paper on screen and put it in the about box, but what they show simply is that there are cases where the large language models outperform a clinician summarizing the history of a patient, so the clinical notes. But they do also, I don't want to be like too happy about that. So I think there are, exactly. There are limitations. There is still a lot there that has to be improved. We still want to make sure there are no hallucinations, because they do remark that in some cases the model hallucinates and adds some conditions that the patient doesn't have, or maybe infers some condition that are really not written in the medical history, which is not I think like that's not the goal of someone summarizing. You should not infer conditions. You should just summarize what is really there.
Yeah. Yeah, you should only be giving the existing information in a more neat package, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's interesting. Because there was a similar paper, I think a month ago now, where they also looked at not just the completeness and correctness of the summaries, but also just if these large language models have empathy. And I think they took like Reddit comments from a kind of doctor's subreddit, and they found that actually like the machines can also display a degree of empathy that users are happy with.
That was a slightly tricky paper, a slightly controversial paper, in fact. Yeah, because they were also comparing that to really responses from doctors on Reddit. So a Reddit user would ask a question about some medical condition or something, and then a doctor will respond. But again, this was on Reddit, so this was not a doctor on duty doing stuff, but it was just someone after a 12-hour shift writing down, answering
or is it
question.
Even a doctor? Is it like a 10-year-old kid from?
And it was also a bit controversial because the validation was done via large language models. So what this means is that you take one of these user questions, you answer that question with a large language models, and you also take the top answer provided by a doctor on Reddit. And then to compare which one of these two is better, what they have done is they used a language model to say which one is better. So
it's biased. It's flawed. It's not the best method. Because obviously the large language model would prefer their own
itself,
or like a similar model's output.
That's a very good question. I don't know. Would it prefer the correct question or the one it wrote? That's something that can be. I don't know. Did anyone do a study on that?
They must like themselves. I mean, if they're outputting, if they're outputting what they think is correct, obviously, surely the other way around, inputting that, they would think that's the best. But maybe another research paper.
This would be an interesting one. I completely agree. Does it prefer itself, or even does it prefer other language model over itself, or does it prefer the really correct answer written by a human? That could be a nice study. Maybe we should do this.
Yeah, or maybe if the listeners know, they can chime in the comments and let us know what they think.
True, yeah. Or if someone has already done it or is doing it.
Yeah. So what else? Yeah. What else can AI do? So we talked about kind of summarization and maybe recording consultations and kind of scripting the documentation, which would free up time. What other things have you been looking at?
So I think here we can divide these, what can AI do, at least am I dividing that for when we are looking at patients and doctors, or more specifically like doctor facing AIs. I think there are AIs that can make the doctor more efficient. So save their time, free up their time, and have them focus on what they really want to focus on. So these are the models like summarization, like ambient note taking, so something that will record the conversation. So these are just models that are basically doing tasks that doctors are already doing every day and spending quite a bit of time on it, and they're just now making it much faster.